6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, good evening, Porch family. Tonight we dig deeper beneath the slogans. The MAGA narrative says, deport them, lock them out, and America gets great. But let me ask, what if the opposite is true? I am Pavio G, and this is Don't Believe the Hype, because today, deportation talk isn't about security. It's about power and money, and they're using your fear as a weapon. So let's talk about it. You ever heard the idea that kicking out undocumented people fixes everything? I'm here to tell you that's the biggest lie of our time. Step one, these same leaders refuse to give undocumented immigrants a number, a work permit, a way to pay taxes, yet they expect them to vanish into thin air. Again, I repeat again, ever heard the idea that kicking out undocumented people fixes everything? Well, I'm here to tell you that's the biggest lie of our time. Biggest lie of our time. Sorry, you all have baby in the background. Indeed, you all know that we have kids and we are so human. We have kids in the background. We have kids doing all type of things. So I'm here to tell you again that that's the biggest lie of our time. I promise you. Let me tell you why it's the biggest lie of our time. Because these same leaders refuse to give undocumented immigrants a number, a work permit, a way to pay taxes, even though sometimes on some occasions they have gave ITIN numbers, which are tax identification numbers, so immigrants can pay taxes, which immigrants have paid over $9 billion into the tax system. And so they give them a way to pay taxes, but then don't give them a way to actually work legally or with a work number. Yet they expect them to just vanish into thin air. Somebody's been here 10, 15 years of their life. Oh, you just have to vanish and get sent to Congo, get sent to Africa. Oh, you've been here 30, 40 years. Oh, you just have to self-deport. It's ridiculous at this point. That is not governance. That's ignoring reality. Ignoring reality. What would actually make America stronger? You ever think about that? What would actually make America stronger? A lot of people think, but do they actually really focus on it as a human being that we are, each and every one of us? Start with basic recognition. Give every undocumented person a number and a pathway to contribute, because majority of the immigrants now already contribute to the system through a TIN number, which is a tax identification number. And they already contribute through this number. More than $9 billion have came out of immigrants' pockets to support American businesses and everything else. And it's something that people don't like to recognize, but that's how you have to start. That's how you make America strong again, is by starting with the basic recognition. Give every undocumented person a number and a pathway to contribute. Because if you did, guess what? Every undocumented immigrant is going to use that number instead of working illegally. Hello, Miss McKenna. How are you? I'm good. Welcome, car guy. Welcome. But yes, indeed, every undocumented immigrant is going to use that number, going to use that work permit, and they're going to pay their taxes just like they're paying them now without a number. Okay? So if Yellow Man was smart, he would give everybody that's undocumented a number and a pathway to contribute. That way he can make all his millions and make all his rich people more richer than what they are, right? That's the goal, right? Because they care about power and money. But it seems to me that somebody hasn't advised him correctly. Because not just for tax forms, but the country gains, your community gains, your kids gain. Think of all of those neighbors. Okay? Who mow lawns, staff farms, clean hospitals, raising children, paying taxes, living with dignity. Now, Biden's critics claim they are taking jobs. But BCC research shows they actually raise GDP. They stabilize the labor shortages because it makes no sense. Think about it, you all. You get rid of people. How are you going to make the business grow if you have no workers, if they're going to shut down because you're stealing their workers? It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant. It doesn't matter if it's a farm. It doesn't matter where it's at. If you are removing people from their work, you cannot build a business, much less build America and make America great again. right? Because at one little tiny point, we were kind of halfway great, right? When we were coming up through the 20s and different inventions, early 1900s, and then we got into the 50s where everybody and their mama at least had a car for the most part, right? Bless you, baby. I think he was going to sneeze another time, the baby, and decided not to sneeze again. Okay, so we continue. So we talk now, leaders like DeSantis, right? And Trump, yellow man. They threatened to deport by the millions, with each flight costing nearly $4,700 per person. And you tell me how America is being made great again. When you're spending more money to bring people home than you can. How about, look, if yellow man was really smart, all the immigrants that are here would pay taxes, and then instead of making people or making the government pay $4,700 per person to deport people, immigrants themselves will be making $4,700 per month, or even more if you gave them permission to really work the way most immigrants want to work, because my family come from a family full of immigrants too. And if you gave us permission to work a certain way or certain immigrants, we probably would make about $4,700 a month. Okay? I tell you no lie. So now all the money to get rid of the immigrants, supposedly MAGA wants to get rid of the immigrants. Well, it's all dropped at the taxpayers' expense, because remember, those same MAGA people who want immigrants out, they forgot that half of them live in trailers. And then the other half live rich, right? They like living their life up. But when they want their Taco Tuesdays, you're no longer going to have Jose to do that. Okay? When you want your lawn cut and your roof done, Jose's no longer going to be able to do that because you ran Jose off. But a lot of them are thinking this way. A lot of people are thinking this way now that it's too late. It's too late to feel sorry and say, oh, I feel bad for Jose, Julio, Darwin, and Jose. I feel bad for them now. No, you don't. You don't feel bad for them, because if you had John, David, and Barry, and Peter to go do your roof just as well as Jose, Julio, and Darwin, then you would not be singing the same song. You'll be saying, oh, well, we're fine. Us Americans, we could do this on our own. We could do it all on our own. Well, if that's the truth, let me give you a prime example of how I sit in the Walmart parking lot and watch everybody walk out and everybody looks unfit, sad, and depressed. We know why, but those type of folks, majority of them, are not going on anybody's rooftop. I promise you that. If I could just take a picture of everybody who walks out of Walmart and walks into it, the average person, most of them probably do not work at a factory, because you can tell if somebody is in physical condition to be working on their legs or their body for hours and hours and hours. And Miss McKenna, I am speaking, my dearest. I do apologize. And the reason why I don't turn on my camera when I'm doing this podcast is because originally this podcast is for listening versus people getting this visual effect. You know, nowadays it's all about this visual effect. It's about listening, processing. And I'm an old school radio host, okay? And I also have kids in the background, and I have other things in the background. And I'm a very, I'm a very sociable person, but I'm an introvert, but I'm an extrovert at the same time. I know, quite weird, but I'm not a person that just is going to be online and just have my whole background showing, because it's not necessary. This is to listen to the information. My face, I'm a hot mess. No worries. You guys saw me earlier when I did my earlier video when I showed my face. That one I did complete. But I thank you for being here, Miss McKenna. Jump in and out when you feel. I do appreciate it. But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you. But $4,700 per person dropped on taxpayer expenses. There's no call for that. We're not making America great again by doing that. Point blank. And it's not just me saying it, but it's common sense that'll tell you America is not being made great again at this moment. Every single American and every single immigrant are afraid. They're afraid of who's going to throw the next bomb on the mainland, okay, because these things can happen. So that's not solving a problem. That is the problem indeed. Worse yet, raids are already hollowing out farms and construction sites, stalling projects, raising food costs, and squeezing families. And all for what? All for what? A fantasy that the closets will clear overnight, that the economy won't collapse under the weight. Let's get real, y'all. Let's get real. This is serious business. Let's get real. Deporting these workers could shrink GDP by up to 7.4%. It can raise inflation nearly 9% and cost tens of billions in lost output. There's no way in hell that we're getting closer to making America great again. We're making America worse, the worst that it's ever been. And a lot of folks will be real quick to say Biden. Let's get off of Biden's train. Everybody start to grab a spine, start to stand on your own 2 feet, and don't blame the old president. Let's blame the new president's administration, the ones that wanted to come into power. They have the power now. Now they will receive the blame for every single mishap that is going on in this country. You want to know why? Because again, if the MAGA cult was doing the right thing, they would have advised their yellow man that the best thing for you to do at this moment, being that all these immigrants have now came over during the Biden administration, which many want to mention. It was Biden. Okay, yeah, it was Biden because Biden had a heart and he cared about other humans and he wanted to make sure that we can all continue to mix and vibe, and everybody who loves their Taco Tuesdays can continue to enjoy that. That's what Biden was trying to do. So now I see that the yellow administration, what they're trying to do is separate us, make us hate each other, and put the world into a complete chaos. And a lot of people are feeding into it. But the MAGA myth continues. Scapegoat, the vulnerable to stoke the base, and rake in power. And all of that will mean nothing because everybody that they've turned on, yellow man has turned on even Elon Musk, that was supposed to be his girlfriend. He's turned on him. He's turned on a lot of folks. Okay. Soon he'll turn on his vice president because he's rocking a smoky eye. You know, Vance has a good old smoky eye makeup going on. He loves his smoky eye. Him and yellow man are now full girlfriend blown on. They're doing their thing now that the breakup with Elon is over with. Kind of, sort of. Elon is now threatening. That's a whole nother news show. But if donors told them, the MAGA cult, to deport more, they probably would comply without thinking, oh man, Jose can't come cut my grass this week because Jose got deported. If voters ask for it, they'll comply. This is what MAGA is doing. This is the MAGA cult. If it involves money and it involves our pockets being filled a little bit more, we'll do whatever it is. We'll worry about Julio and Jose later. But what y'all fail to realize is that the Julios, the Joses, the Marias, the Normas, the people who are Latino in this country, the immigrants who are in this country, have made this country. Now, people may say and fight that and say, oh, well, the new immigrants are coming and haven't made their country. No, but they can make this country, America, great again. They can make America great again. But no, instead of making America great again and giving everybody numbers and social security numbers so people can work honestly, fairly, and work in these factories that they're trying to supposedly so-called build up to make America great again. No, they're getting rid of them. They're getting rid of immigrants. That will never help. That will never help. Don't fool yourself. Use common sense here. Even if you're a MAGA listening, use common sense. That won't help. Think about it. It's all a trickling effect. If you have a facility that cooks Latino food or have a facility that cooks American food with Latino workers and you go there on a Saturday and the doors are closed, please don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Don't have a shock on your face. Don't walk away with John and say, oh my God, John, the restaurant is closed. We know why it's closed. The failing policies. The taxes are high. The tariffs on the American people. The taxes on the American people are high. People can't afford to live or go to restaurants anymore. People can't afford to do anything anymore. That's why they fair giving work permits, because they want you dependent on fear, on anger, and not freedom. So let me leave you with this. We don't need cruelty disguised as policy. We need pathways, not punishments. We don't need walls locked tight. We need families to thrive, documented or not. We don't need fear. We need fairness, even if it means admitting we got it wrong. That is how you really build America great again. That's how you really do it. You build with everyone, not a chosen few. So again, I say thanks for joining me on the porch tonight. If this hit home, share it. Let your voice drown out the hype. I am Pavi LG. Subscribe for more truth-led fire chats and practical prep. Don't just vote from fear, vote for fairness. Until next time, hold your roof high, your heart steady, and your neighbors close. Thank you so much for joining.